First, for plenty of little kids, their heroes were those who wore uniforms and protected us. Police officers, firefighters, first responders. For Jack Kingsley, those heroes happened to be right in his own family.
He has followed in those family footsteps. Jack recently returned from fighting wildfires out west, and 207's Peggy Kaiser wanted to find out what the experience had been like. She joins us with more. Hi, Peg.
Hey, you guys. Well, Rob and Amanda, I've watched Jack Kingsley grow up. He lives right around the corner from me. At the ripe old age of 19, he headed out west to fight those wildfires. I couldn't wait to learn more when he got home. The photos tell it all. Jack Kingsley knew about fighting fires almost before he could walk.
You know, in my family, it goes back now 4 generations, including me. My great-grandfather fought fire. My grandfather was a chief. My uncle was in the department as well as an officer.
He graduated high school in 2020, and last spring, he signed up and headed out to Montana.
87 or 72 on this 2-track road. Looks like it will take us all the way to the left that far.
Once you're hired, is there a training period?
Oh, absolutely. We call it being rookied in, your first year. You show up and you don't want to get a lot of information in a short amount of time, kind of like drinking from a fire hose, but you don't want to get what we call basic critical training, just everything from how winds work on mountains, topographical influences to fire behavior to fuel models, just kind of understanding the basics of how to work, what's going on in the environment. A lot of safety talks as well.
See you on the other side.
The training also meant learning how engines work, how pumps work, and how to use a chainsaw, and eventually fighting an actual fire.
And then we'll do something called towhead. It's a live burn, so no matter what, you're going to get some fire experience, like really understand what it feels like to have that heat in your face, have that smoke going on. Just kind of get a taste of the real thing. You're always training a little bit.
You're right.
Every day you're trying to learn something new, especially in that job. But the critical training takes about 2 to 3 weeks.
Jack was located in and around Helena, moving around the state as needed. Every day, his gear included a hard hat, fire boots, pants they call greens and yellows, made of non-burnable material. He might carry a chainsaw, line gear, and a backpack with a meal, snacks, water, and some first aid material.
Obviously, I was just a rookie, and some people have 10, 15 years in. And the more you are near fires, the more you can understand fire behavior. And you can almost read it, you can understand it, you can, think what's going to happen next with pretty good accuracy.
The teams that fight these fires are skilled, organized, and in constant radio communication on several channels.
You can think about it in the same way as the military, all the way down to boots on the ground. There is always an element of chaos. There's a lot of moving parts. There's, helicopters and air attack, multiple crews and different agencies. But for the most part, you can always figure out your command system. And they try very hard to create that seamlessly. And sometimes you do get the feeling that you might lose it, we'll say. Make a run, jump the line, be gone. And that would be called losing it.
Right.
Which is okay. Sometimes you can't catch it. It's force of nature.
Again, I keep coming back to the fact that these seem so vast. When you're fighting on the front lines as you were, do you ever feel like we are just never going to tackle this?
I wouldn't say that. I think that one thing about it is that you learn to understand fire behavior and have an idea of what it's going to do. I think I personally have not been on, say, the Dixie Fire or something that blows up to be hundreds of thousands of acres, millions of acres. It's like you're very much plugged into your own work.
Jack sees the demand for people doing this kind of work only growing in the coming years.
The fires we have now are not the fires we had 50 years ago, 20 years ago. It's just going to get worse and worse. They have a large combination of factors that are creating really erratic and hardcore fire behavior. And the season's getting longer, and you're going to need people to fight them and experienced people to fight them.
Are you ever afraid?
I think sometimes things can get a little bit hairy. But, I put a lot of faith in the workers and my crew members and especially my engine boss. I really felt safe rolling with those guys. They had a lot of experience, and I didn't think they ever want to put me in a bad position. You do what you can while staying as safe as you can. Like you're going to do your best regardless. You definitely feel like you're making an impact, and that's in a very humble way.
Now, when Jack left, the season was starting to slow down a bit, but of course these fires can flare up at any time. We talked about trying to measure the impact of fighting the fires, and the sense of satisfaction for Jack is knowing that thanks to the crew he was part of, some families still had their homes, their animals, and their livelihoods.
Pretty impressive work
Yeah.
for a guy at that age, just 19.
I thought so too. He was very composed, very articulate. I just could have talked to him for hours.
All right.